My dogs are barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon. So glad that you could join us here on this Tuesday edition of the show. Very exciting weekend for Mississippi State, Super Bulldog weekend. Had a lot of good stuff going on in the city of Starkville as well, with the Derby Dash and having Jeff Simmons be there for the Dotson Derby. It was a very fun weekend for the city of Starkville, and I hope you and your family got to go and experience a lot of traffic in Starkville. Man, 80,000 people there at the Derby. Really, really crazy. So I'm so happy for Alden and all those guys just to be able to have a successful time to raise money for a good cause for the Humane Society there in Starkville. And good stuff. So here on the show, though, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of good stuff happened for Mississippi State baseball this weekend as they swept Kentucky. We're actually right, went 3-0 against Kentucky Friday. Pardon me, it was rained out Friday, doubleheader on Saturday, and then the win on Sunday as well. Really, really good stuff, and honestly sets up a huge weekend for Mississippi State this weekend versus Ole Miss. There in the Egg Bowl for baseball is Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming into the matchup as the 24th team in the nation. I believe Ole Miss we'll get into that in just a second. But before we do, I want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar in the heart of Starkville. In the heart of Starkville, in the heart of the Cotton District, Arpa's is the place to go. Starkville eats Arpa's. I don't know if you can see that there. The light is really, there it is. Starkville eats Arpa's. Everybody loves Arpa's, man. If you've never been to Arpa's, make sure you go. Like I mentioned, in the heart of the Cotton District, my favorite thing is, like, if you're a coffee person, they've got great coffee. If you love some food, they got some great food. Either way you look at it, Jose and his team are dedicated to make sure you have a great experience. And here's the deal. Every single time you go, you can save 15% off every single time you are there by mentioning that you love the My Dogs Are Barking discount. 15% off. You go try it. You'll love it. And then you'll go back the next day or the week after, whatever the case may be, and get another 15% off every single time. Make sure you try Arpa's. You will not regret it. And hey, look, Justin Parker is kind of this interim time for Mississippi State as the head coach in the wake of Chris Lemonis being let go. There's a lot of things that he's trying to work through. He's trying to figure out if he's going to get the big job. He's trying to figure out if he's going to get the big payday and if he's even, maybe even going to become rich. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state of Mississippi. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Very thankful for our partners, our sponsors, and we'll get into it. But Mississippi State this weekend, we're going to recap and then kind of give a preview for this upcoming weekend. Mississippi State does have a huge matchup this weekend with Ole Miss. Ole Miss being number 24 in the nation, a top 25 matchup. And here's the bigger deal. The bigger deal is that Mississippi State has an opportunity now. They've kind of played themselves back into a chance for the postseason, which, look, if you're a Mississippi State fan, you kind of know how this goes. State does just enough to keep you interested in a lot of things. Athletically, only sometimes to fall short. Like we've seen that before. I remember I was telling my wife, so my wife's not a sports fan, which I got to be honest with you, is really a great thing. I remember thinking, like, I'd love a wife someday that just loves sports and we can talk all the. First off, that's not necessarily realistic, but second off, you don't need someone to share in your misery, man. Like, sometimes you need to get away from it. But I remember explaining, like, State would come back in a game or something and she'd go, well, this is good. It looks like they're going to come back and win. And I was like, Jordan, this is just kind of what they do. And unfortunately, it falls apart at the end. And State has a tendency to do that. However, this past weekend was not that case. I mean, Mississippi State looked so locked in and so focused in really just what they needed. I mean, 7 innings, you beat Kentucky 14-4, and just the offense is just rolling during the game. And whenever you look at them, there's a lot of big hits. The win on Saturday for game 1, you had 8 runs there in the 6th inning. 4 runs in the 4th inning after being down initially 3-1. So you had an opportunity for State to kind of lay down and say, okay, well, let's just kind of lay down. We've lost our coach. this is a huge weekend, and when we lost it, it's one thing I like about this team. They really do fight, and whether they come out with a win or not, that they do try to give it everything they can. And look, great things ended up happening because of it. And Ben Davis comes in to close, keep Kentucky off the board, and State wins 14 to 4. And again, the offense was just rolling. And then you look at the game right after that, and the evening slot, so to speak, if you will, is Kentucky and Mississippi State that goes to extra innings, and that game had a spectacular finish. But the same thing, like State had an opportunity, to kind of lay down. I mean, they're down 5. Was it 5-2? 5-2, 5-3. No, pardon me. They had tied it up going into the fifth, 5-5, and then all of a sudden didn't score again until extras. And it was just so phenomenal to think. I mean, Joe Powell had such a huge weekend. He's a guy almost like a glue guy for this team. He almost, what he reminds me of? He almost reminds me of like a Draymond Green. Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors is not the best player overall, but he's kind of just a gritty guy who like helps kind of be the glue. And whenever you need some toughness, some meanness, Joe Powell will help you out with that. And he showed that in the game Saturday night. And then, of course, Sunday, taking the game 6-1. State had some spectacular defensive plays from Bryce Chance and was it O'Brien? Yeah, Michael O'Brien, unbelievable catch, robbing Kentucky of home runs. And so you have to be thrilled with what State pulled off, especially with what's going on with the coaching search and the in between. And look, since Justin Parker has taken over, Mississippi State's 4-0, and State is undefeated in those matchups. And now all of a sudden you look forward and go, all right, well, let's look at the lineup. What do we have left? And I hate to say this because, again, the whole thing I talked about with, you're getting close, they might come back, only to be let down later on. State has an opportunity to play in the postseason. No kidding. And State has a chance to be in someone's regional somewhere and be a team that can give people issues. And let's just be honest, 2 weeks ago, we're not having that conversation. 2 weeks ago, we're not saying those things. And now all of a sudden, it seems as though a new leaf has been turned, and State has turned this thing around. And here's the deal. They might drop the series to Ole Miss, certainly, but it's in Starkville again. And if State ends up winning this series, you have got all kinds of momentum when they're on the road at Missouri for the last series of the year before you go to Hoover. Now, we'll have plenty of conversations in between, but like in between before this actual time where they go to Hoover. But State has not done great in Hoover over the past couple of years. However, State also has not had this type of momentum coming off something. Look, Justin Parker and company, they got something to prove. He's trying to get the job, and these players are now all of a sudden motivated by this new change in leadership, it appears. And again, I don't want to speak too soon, but Missouri's a bad team. Missouri's they're 13-34 on the season. They've lost 11 in a row. They're 1-15 away. Well, they're hosting the series versus State, but they're 8-16 from home. And guess what? They're 0-24 in conference play. So all of a sudden you beat Ole Miss, you can for sure beat Missouri and finish out winning. Winning what would that be? Yeah, winning 2 series in a row to finish the season and winning all these games. And all of a sudden, like I mentioned, playing yourself into postseason play. The only non-conference game that State has remaining on the regular season schedule is North Alabama on the 13th. But State is playing their way into a really, really positive light. We'll take a quick pause to hear some messages from MPW Digital. When we come back, I do want to talk about the coaching surge. Pete Nakos released 4 new names for the coaching search for Mississippi State. And look, let's be honest, before you even get there, would you say that Nick Mangione is off of the list for Mississippi State after Kentucky loses in that manner? I think I would. I think so. And I think a lot of fans probably don't want him at this point because of that. But I mean, that might be short-sighted. But we'll pause for just a moment. When we come back, we'll talk about those 4 games, and we'll talk about the matchup with Ole Miss and Mississippi State this weekend. You're listening to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. We'll be right
All
back.
MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older.
Well, welcome back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. Thinking about the potential people to come back and be the head coach for Mississippi State baseball, now that Chris Lemonis is gone. Pete Nakos gave 4 names I want to talk about, and there's one more that is kind of the obvious one. The first is Georgia's head coach, Wes Johnson. Wes had time as an assistant coach at Mississippi State. He's had Georgia playing really, really well. He's completely turned that Georgia program around. Georgia looks like a brand new team, and that's because of him. He's built that team up. That'd be a home run if he was interested in coming back. I don't know, because he has Georgia playing so well. You have to wonder if he would. But we mentioned the last show, State has the ability to pull some people in baseball as opposed to maybe other sports. Virginia's Brian O'Connor is one we also talked about. I think he makes a lot of sense. Has been very, very successful at Virginia, but Virginia does not have the resources that a Mississippi State has, and so you do have to wonder for how long does he want to keep up, being a part of a fundraising process there when you don't have the same resources. And you look at a place like Mississippi State, and they have the ability to win and get guys in the portal. He also mentioned Kansas's Dan Fitzgerald and Wake Forest's Tom Walter. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Walter's been at Wake Forest for a long time, 16 years. And they were in the College World Series just a couple of years ago. I don't know if that's a name that moves a ton of needles, but a good coach. And then Fitzgerald has only been at Kansas for 3 seasons, but he's been really, really good. He's been really, really good at Kansas thus far. He's got them 36-13 this season. So a good team, but also they don't have the same kind of schedule. I think the last guy that you got to mention is the guy who's there right now. It's Justin Parker. And here's the deal, man. I remember years ago, someone told me something that stuck with me a long time when it comes to business. You can even take it in relationships, and it's this. I don't know why the camera came in close, but maybe it knows I'm about to say something serious. And that's this. Most decisions that are made about your future are made whenever you are not in the room. When a boss makes a decision about your future, you are generally not in the room when that happens. So do everything you can. Build the best possible case for yourself that you can while you are in the room, while you are visible, and while you do have a presence, so that when you're out of the room, you're remembered. You don't want someone who has no presence. You don't want someone that you have a hard time thinking what they do well. What do they average in? Right now, Justin Parker's in the process of proving, while he's in the room, that he's the guy. Because there's going to come a point where he's not in the room, so to speak, and the season's over with, and you're there, and they go, okay, like, what do we think? How did he do? And obviously, like, those conversations are happening now. But you understand where I'm going. Justin Parker is trying to prove he is the right candidate for the job as we speak right now in this moment. And he's doing a great job so far. And let's just be honest, man. Like, if he somehow pulls a rabbit out of his hat and gets him to the postseason, and dare I say they come out of a regional, I think it's his. If you can come out of a regional because of where you just came from. Now, let's just be honest. There's a lot of miles in between here and coming out of a regional. There's a lot of miles between here and getting to a regional for Mississippi State, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I think that's what we have to remember, that there's motivation with this team. This is a little bit different than 2018 with the Canizero mess, if you will. This is different. Justin Parker completely transformed this bullpen last season, and he's done a really good job this season. He's upgraded the talent in the bullpen where they really needed it in years before then. And so he's done a great job. But it just kind of remains to be seen, like, what will he end up being? I think this weekend in Starkville is going to be huge. State starts on Friday night versus Ole Miss before playing. That's at 7:30. Then they play again at 2 p.m. on Saturday, and then 1 o'clock on Sunday. So folks will get their church in and then go catch some baseball. Yeah, you have to wonder what it's going to be like whenever this game takes place, because there's going to be momentum in Dudy Noble for the first time in a little bit after a series sweep, not just a series win, but a series sweep over Ole Miss. Very, very, really awesome to look at. Ole Miss coming off of a rough weekend. Ole Miss went and played I believe they're at Oklahoma. Yeah, they're in Norman, and dropped the first game 0-2. On Saturday, they lost the series in a 5-3 loss versus Oklahoma. Then they beat them on Sunday 7-3. Before then, they were coming off a series win against Vanderbilt, which looked really, really good. I mean, top 10 team in Vanderbilt. Obviously, they got the win versus Mississippi State earlier in the season. They're in Pearl 8-7 in extra innings, but that was a different regime. And now, yeah, we'll kind of look at how they've lost some kind of head scratcher games this season. But Ole Miss, don't get it twisted. Ole Miss is still a gifted team, 13-11 in conference. They're kind of fighting to kind of look at where their postseason is going to end up going. Overall, their record, they're 33-15, as I mentioned, 13-11 in conference. They're good at home, and away, not quite the same. So interested to see what this matchup will be like. A little bit later on in the week, I believe it's Thursday, we'll have a little bit bigger of a preview for this game before going into the actual matchup this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then, we mentioned this past week's show that we're starting a new series that we did last season for football, and it was really, really enjoyable. We had a great time. But we are basically interviewing each team from on Mississippi State's football schedule this offseason. We're taking a week and leading up to football season, interviewing a beat writer, someone there to kind of talk about their team, but also kind of give a way too early prediction of that game. And again, we did that last season before we joined MPW Digital during the offseason, because let's just be honest, in the summertime you're dying for content, right? I don't know why I look so white as a ghost, but that's rough. There we go. But anyway, we'll look at that. I'm very excited about that, as the very first game for Mississippi State is versus Southern Miss. There's no way Mississippi State loses that game, right? I don't think so. I was thinking about it today. I was talking with Austin about it, but I don't think so, right? I mean, you got a lot. Charles Huff has done a good job bringing a lot more talent to Southern Miss. even so, like even with all the talent he just brought in, and he did bring in a good amount of talent, State should have significantly better talent than Southern Miss. And also just significantly better playmakers and the ability for Jeff Levy to scheme up, some people running and kind of streaking towards the end zone. But defensive side of the ball, that's kind of where I wonder. I think State could give up some points to Southern Miss. But we'll look at that. We'll preview each game, again, starting with Southern Miss, and go all the way through. Very excited to talk to some new friends and some old ones, and get to see a little bit more of Mississippi State football in hopes that they can win more than 2 games. But very excited about that. And again, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod, for all the latest on Mississippi State. And make sure you're subscribed to MPW Digital on all platforms. I think they're going for 11.2K subscribers. Really amazing. Grew by leaps and bounds this football season, and expecting another huge fall for the network as well. So thank you guys as always for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, I apologize for all the dad stuff I got behind me. We got a little cradle. We got we have some strollers in the background. It's funny how life changes, man. So again, I do apologize for that. But when you're getting the baby's room ready, so some of the things that were in there have just got to go somewhere, and the first place they got to go is in the office. And that's one of those times when you just say, yes, ma'am, I'll do whatever. So anyway, we're about 4 weeks out. Very exciting time. So thank you guys for listening. As always, God bless you. And thanks so much for listening to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital.